Republican Mayra Flores has won the special election for Texas' 34th congressional district, flipping a seat that has been under nearly unbroken Democratic control for 4 decades. Elon Musk says, I voted for Mayra Flores. First time I ever voted for a Republican. Massive red wave in 2022. I assume Republican for president. 2, to be determined. What are you leaning towards? DeSantis. But your political donations will be evenly spread out, as you do always, right? Elon Musk, I'm thinking of creating a super moderate super PAC that supports candidates with centrist views from all parties. Dude, this will solve the problem. Do you see yourself becoming more and more outspoken about who you are going to support? What gave it away? Haha. Motherfucker said, I'm going to do super moderate. I'm going to do a super moderate PAC and then say that he's going to vote for fucking DeSantis. Do you now understand what people do when they say they're centrists? There is no better example of like what people say, what people actually mean when they say they're a fucking centrist than what you just saw. Yeah, Ron the centrist, dude. Nothing says I'm a centrist like, I don't know, a guy who's like most famous for trying to fucking push for like comprehensive anti-LGBT legislation. And then, in an effort to like push for that, saying that he's doing it because he wants to stop pedophilic grooming from happening. You know, just a outright gross fucking lie. Let's not forget COVID mishaps and cover-ups. I mean, Elon loves that shit, remember? Because he thought COVID was going to go away by April. Anyway, what world do we live in where the richest man on the planet is subtweeting people and his political choices? I mean, just a whack one, but one that makes sense. Oh, also, the guy that Elon Musk voted for, the lady that Elon Musk voted for, apparently is a QAnon lady. Mayra Flores aligned herself with conspiracy theories during her successful campaign to turn a historically Democratic district red. She defeated Democrat DeSantis' secure spot in Congress. The result is significant because the state's 34th district had been blue, with Democrat Philemon Vega retiring this year to force a special election to carry out the remainder of his term. So I want to point to something here, by the way. This is going to happen a lot more frequently. Why? Because the Democratic Party fucking sucks. The Democratic Party cannot capture the Hispanic vote. Even in areas that we have comfortably thought were deep blue as a consequence of Hispanic immigration, as a consequence of like a growing Latino population, is going to literally fucking turn around and be deep red. Why? Because if you look at voter demographics, if you look at voting patterns for the Hispanic community, as a matter of fact, okay, you will find out that the Latino population is younger, certainly, but of course the younger population simply does not vote. So that's one fucking that's one jot in the voting red column. But you will also find out that regardless of how Hispanic voters are not a monolith, obviously, and some Hispanic voters or some Latino voters are very, very deeply red constituencies like the Cuban population, okay, which has only voted in favor of a Democrat under Obama, because a lot of young Cubans ended up voting, or the Venezuelan expat, or the Venezuelan population, again, pretty fucking right-wing for the most part. You have the Latino voters that are actually socially conservative, older Latino voters that are actually socially conservative because of Catholicism, that are unironically super fucking fiscally progressive. But the Democratic Party is not going to do anything to beef up the fiscal progressivism angle. And that is part of the reason why the Texas GOP, which has been very open about their outreach programs, will be able to hype up the social conservatism angle and win votes in the Hispanic community while simultaneously fucking literally advocating for anti-Latino legislation, anti-Latino, fear-mongering, and continue to win votes over from the Democratic Party. Latinos across the board, especially in Texas, are literally the most positive polled group when it comes to big government initiatives. Did you guys know that? Did you know that? Probably not, unless you watch the hasanabi broadcast where I talk about it all the fucking time. Latinos are socially conservative, but fiscally insanely progressive. They ask this is one of the most like awful framing. This is the worst framing you could possibly ask a person a question about big government. Instead of saying social safety nets, you use the term big government, right? And even when you use the term big government, or would you like a bigger government, Latinos say yes. 60%, I believe, say yes to larger government initiatives. That's fucking crazy. That's a crazy number. And the Democrats do not capture that enthusiasm. They don't push for that. Why? Because they don't want to do big government. They're scared of the conservatives, right? They're scared of saying that they want big government. They're capitalists. And that's it. So if you don't push for things that the Latino population wants, even older Latinos want, you're going to lose out to Republicans that will then make the entire conversation about social conservatism. It's also significant because Flores has promoted the QAnon conspiracy theory, which holds that the United States is run by a cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles who would or still will be brought to justice by Donald Trump. A cabal that also runs the top of the hour ad break at the twitch.tv/hasanabi broadcast. Now, part of the reason why I don't even know anything about this district, but my immediate speculation is that there's probably really low voter turnout here, okay, because it's fucking random special election and shit. So it's not indicative. I would say it's not exactly indicative of like larger patterns, even though those larger patterns will come. But the media rushes in the most horny way possible to make these like larger fucking analyses over tiny elections like this, like they did with the Chesapeake recall, where they ran a fuckload of articles claiming falsely that Chesapeake had lost black neighborhoods, right? And then we found out that wasn't even the fucking case. And there was also a obviously lower turnout in the Chesapeake recall in that in the California primaries, regardless. Contrary to what every fucking outlet wrote about the devastating defeat delivered to the progressive movement in California, a progressive safe haven, we saw many candidates, including friends of the show, Kenneth Mayhew, for example, win on a fucking police abolitionist ticket, pretty much. Like, literally. We saw two DSA candidates win the council districts, the ones that I talked about and promoted here on this broadcast. But no coverage was afforded to that because it doesn't go along with the main narrative that the media is trying to fucking launch, which is that, California fucking hates progressives because progressives are so unpopular. They're even unpopular in fucking California. There was a really good Medium piece I read, and I cannot remember where it was. And I cannot fucking figure out. Oh, it might have been a Substack by Equality Alec, actually. The Role of Think pieces? No, it's not. Equality Alec is great, though. I do love Alec Karakatsanis, who writes routinely about like the role that the New York Times and the media plays in like in hyping up like ridiculous narratives about the police and about crime in general. I think it was this one. Okay, we'll look at that in a little bit, though. Before we do that, though, let's look at Jim Cramer breaking down the chances of a recession. Because that was what we started off with, and that's what we're going to continue along with for a little bit, okay, until we get into the California recall and all the fucking wins for progressives. I don't want to take ownership over Karen Bass. I don't think she's good, and I don't think she's a real progressive at all. But her bleeding over Rick Caruso by like, what, 13,000 fucking votes or some shit, even more than that, is actually good because Rick Caruso pumped a fuckload of votes, pumped a fuckload of money, his own money, into trying to win this election. And he still lost to a career politician, to a machine politician like Karen Bass, who wasn't even like actually very progressive, but was able to successfully make it seem as though she was progressive, or at the very least more progressive than Rick Caruso, which doesn't take much because Rick Caruso was like running on the Let's Melt the Homeless campaign. So we'll get to California in a little bit.
The word recession.